Hello everyone, welcome to the class on Carbonyl Chemistry lecture 6. In lecture 5 I have covered all these topics. Initially we have seen nucleophilic addition mechanisms. It can happen in presence of acid or in presence of base. In presence of acid is required when the nucleophile is a weak nucleophile. Base presence is required when you have a strong nucleophile. Now after that what we have seen is, see, always aldehydes are more reactive than ketones. The reason is you have electronic parameters as well as steric parameters. Electronic parameters in ketones, you have electron donating alkyl groups are there which will reduces reactivity. Not only that, ketones, because of these R groups, steric hindrance is there for nucleophile attack and it reduces reactivity towards nucleophilic additions. Now after that we have seen various reactions in nucleophilic addition with hydrogen cyanide, sodium bisulfite and alcohols. Now hydrogen cyanides, the advantage is they form cyanohydrins. Now the synthetic use of cyanohydrins is they can be easily converted to acids as well as primary amines. So this is what is the major synthetic use of hydrogen cyanide one. The next one is sodium bisulfite. The advantage with sodium bisulfite addition reaction is it forms a water soluble sodium bisulfite addition product. The water soluble product is important for purification and separation of carbonyl compounds. Later, the last reaction is with alcohols. Alcohols react with aldehydes or ketone and forms hemiacetals as well as acetals. Now these two are essential in carbohydrate chemistry. Glucose exists in straight chain form as well as cyclic form. Cyclic form is nothing but a hemiacetal form. Cyclic form is favored because thermodynamically it is stable one. Whereas in disaccharides you can see the formation of acetals like sucrose, lactose and maltose. Now coming to today's class, today I am going to explain all these topics. Nucleophilic addition of ammonia and its derivatives. We'll see them in detail. In the next video, I am going to discuss about Wolff-Kishner and Clemmensen reduction. Let's begin with this class. Now, the reaction with amines, aldehydes and ketones react with amines and form imines. Look at the mechanism. This is a general amine one. This is a carbonyl carbon. Addition occurs and what happens? This nucleophile will go and attacks this carbon and that results in the formation of hemiaminal. This is also known as carbonyl amine. This hemiaminal is similar to hemiacetal. In acetal an alcohol is attaching, in hemiaminal an amine group is getting attached. This is also known as carbonyl amine. A carbon with OH group is known as carbonyl and it contains amine, so it is known as carbonyl amine. Now after that the water will get removed from this hemiaminal minus H2O and it results in an imine. Imine is carbon double bonded with nitrogen. So elimination of water results in imine 1. So this is what is the mechanism for the imine formation. Now certain important things. This happens in presence of a trace acid. The reason why trace acid is required is to enhance the rate of second step. Now this step is known as rate determining step. Let us understand what do you mean by this. Let's say you have reactants which are getting converted to products, right? Let us take a simple example. Let's say A is getting converted to B, B is getting converted to C. Now A to B it takes 1 minute, whereas B to C it takes 29 minutes. So what is the total time taken for this reaction? It is 30 minutes. Total it takes 30 minutes. Out of this A to B is only 1 minute, but B to C taking lot of time. Now imagine by adding a catalyst, if you reduce this 29 minutes to 9 minutes, then what would be the reaction, total reaction time? A to B will be 1 minute, this one is 9 minutes, so total it becomes only 10 minutes. So the total reaction time is reduced by reducing the reaction time of this step. So this step is determining the speed of reaction. Rate means the speed at which the reaction occurs. Hence this step is known as rate determining step. Is it clear? Now this step is called rate determining step because it takes a lot of time. In order to increase the rate of reaction, a trace acid is added here which will enhance the product formation. So this is about rate of reaction. Now the other thing, look at this, the entire reaction is reversible reaction. Any point of time imine can get converted back to amine and a carbonyl compound. Now, how it happens? By addition of water, the bond breaks down and results in the formation of a carbonyl carbon and amine group. Now, because water is causing lysis, lysis means bond breakdown. This is called as hydrolysis. Hydra means water, lysis means breakdown. So, by adding water to this compound, simply hydrolysis occurs and it results in carbonyl as well as amines generation. Because this is a reversible reaction, you can manipulate the reaction direction. Now, one way how to proceed in forward direction is immediately by removing this water. You know, the product also forms water. If you continuously take out this water, the Le Chatelier principle we have seen in the last lecture. If you continuously take out this water, the reaction will be pushed in forward direction. If you add water, it comes back to the starting products. This is how the reaction material direction can be decided. Now, after this, let us see the hybridization between imine group. A carbon is sp2 hybridized 1, nitrogen also sp2 hybridized 1. This is very similar to carbonyl carbon C double bond O. Now, sp2 hybridized carbon, how it will be? It will be like this. Trigonal planar, we have seen from first lecture, and the unhybridized p orbital will be perpendicular to the plane. Now, let us see a little bit details of nitrogen. Nitrogen, what is the atomic number? It is 7. Electronic configuration is 1s2, 2s2 and then 2p3. The valency shell S is completely occupied, whereas P has got single electrons like this. Now, this one is already filled electrons. Orbital is completely filled with electrons, and these electrons are known as lone pair of electrons. There is a pair of electrons. Now, in nitrogen, there also occurs sp2 hybridization. So, what happens? Nitrogen also forms sp2 hybrid orbital like this, the same trigonal planar one. But out of this, one orbital contains a lone pair. This one contains a lone pair electrons. But the unhybrid p orbital will be existing in perpendicular plane. So the sp2 hybrid orbitals combine to form sigma bonds, and then the p orbitals will combine to form pi bonds. Pi bond or weaker bonds which are found by sideways overlap. So the sideways overlap forms a pi bond. This is what is the orbital picture. You can see carbon and nitrogen with sigma bond forming orbitals. The lone pair is also in sigma bond, whereas this is pi orbital which forms by sideways overlap. So this is about hybridization in imine group. Moving further. Now, condensation. There are certain types of reactions which are known as condensation. Two of the starting materials will combine and they lose a small molecule like water or alcohol and form a final product. This kind of reactions are known as condensation reactions. Wherever removal of water or small molecules are involved with combining two of the starting materials, those reactions are known as condensation reaction. Look at the pH. This reaction takes place at a particular pH. This particular amount of pH is required. I told you at the beginning, you need a trace amount of acid. Too much of acid will reduces nucleophilicity of starting material. So too much of acid is not required. You need to maintain the pH at 4 to 5. Moving further. Now, after that, nucleophilic addition with amine derivatives is an important topic. So this is a general reaction, a carbonyl carbon with amine derivative. These groups are derived groups, and finally it results in the formation, they lose a water molecule and results in the formation of imine group. If it is with ammonia, it is known as imine. Look at them. Look at this table. The Z is hydrogen here, then it is ammonia, NH3. The formed bond is imine. It is known as imine. If you have a substituted amine, if R group is there, you will get an amine with substituted R, and they are known as shift base. Synthetically, these are very important one. Now, NH2, if the Z group is OH, then it is known as hydroxyl amine, and the product is known as oxime. Similarly, hydrazine means two of the NH2 groups and it results in C double bond and NH2. The product is known as hydrazone. Phenyl hydrazine. To that phenyl group, a hydrazine is attached and it results in phenyl hydrazone. Similarly, 2,4-dinitrophenyl hydrazine. To that phenyl group, second and fourth position, you have nitro groups are there. It results in dinitrophenyl hydrazones. Finally, semi-carbazide. This one is a urea derivative and it results in semi-carbazone. Now, derivatives of these amines are important because of a primary reason. I told you the amines are the amines will always undergo a reversible reaction which will form the starting material. If you add slight amount of water, imine bond breaks down and it forms starting material. But these compounds like the reaction with phenylhydrazine, hydroxylamine, hydrazine, all these amine derivatives, they form stable imines. The reason why they are forming stable imines is the imine bond is attached with a electronegative atom, in this case oxygen, in this case nitrogen, in all these cases a nitrogen is there. To that imine bond an electronegative atom is attached. Because of this attachment, electronic delocalization occurs, resonance structures will emerge and the bond becomes a little bit stable one. What is the use of this? You can see here 2,4-dinitrophenylhydrazine derivatives are yellow, orange and red solids. They are useful for characterization of aldehydes and ketones. What happens is the reaction of all these derivatives results in solid material. They are useful for characterization of aldehyde and ketones. What do you mean by characterization? Let us see with an example. Before that, let us see how the reaction takes place. NH2OH is hydroxylamine. It reacts with carbonyl carbon, results in oxime. Similarly, hydrazine, it forms hydrazone. All the reaction will take place like this and it takes place in presence of a trace acid. Now, while coming to the identification and characterization of CO group with stable imines, look at them. What are these two things? You have carbon 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 carbons are there and at second position you have carbonyl group is there. So, this is 2-pentanone. 2-pentanone. See, 1 at second carbon you have functional group is there. This is third carbon, fourth and fifth. Totally 5 carbons. So, penta at second carbon ketone is there. So, this is 2-pentanone. What is this one? This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Similarly, 5 carbons, but the functional group is present at third carbon. So, this one is 3-pentanone. Look at them. Both of them are two different compounds, but the boiling points are similar, exactly 1 or 2 degrees. Usually, when the reaction is going on, the final product is ascertained with the help of boiling points. Now, in this case, you cannot determine which one is which compound, but when you convert these carbonyls into 2,4-dinitrophenylhydrazone derivatives, look at the melting points. There is a difference. Melting points are very different. Here it is 143 degree, whereas it is 156 degrees. So, because of this difference, you can easily separate which one is 2-pentanone, which one is 3-pentanone. After the reaction, you add acid, you will get back your carbonyl compound. So, this is how identification of carbonyls is carried out. Next video, as I told you, I am going to explain 2 of the named reactions which are very important, Wolff-Kishner and Clemmensen reaction. Thank you for watching this video.